afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this, our final general meeting for the fall semester 2022. I'm Nicolay Gunn. Now, this is our third and final general meeting for this semester, of course, and our theme is 1 degree, various options. Before we get into this intriguing program that we have planned for you, go ahead and follow us on our social media platforms. For YouTube, it's DCSNCU TV. For Instagram, it's DCS_NCU. And for Facebook, it's DCSatNCU. Now, we'll have our devotion at this time. It will be done by Rachel Banton. Because God first, right? Right. Being at a Seventh-day Adventist institution, it is wonderful that we get the opportunity to not only have a personal relationship with God, but we get the opportunity to have devotion before each and every class session and also before each and every program. So here comes Rachel with our devotional exercise.
Good afternoon, everyone. God is good. Okay, so we're going to begin our devotion by singing As the Deer Panted For. Nicolay, could you assist me with this song, please? As the Deer Panted For, and then we're going to go into our day's reading along with our scripture, then prayer, all right?
Okay. As a deer panted for the waters of my soul, longeth after thee. You alone are my heart's desire, and I long to worship you.
Let me hear you say,
as a deer panted for the waters of my soul, longeth after thee. You alone are my heart's desire, and I long to worship you.
you alone.
You alone are my strength, my shield. To you alone does my spirit kneel.
Sing you.
You alone are my heart's desire, and I long to worship you.
Sing and I long.
And I long to worship you. And I long to worship you.
Thank you, Nicolay. Today's reading is taken from Psalms 103 and verse 15, and it declares, As for man, his days are as grass, as a flower of the field, so he flourisheth. I'm going to read it one more time, and it readeth, As for man, his days are as grass, as a flower of the field, so he flourisheth. The psalmist come to a point in his life where he began to understand that life is short. He compared the human life to the grass and the flowers of the field. In essence, when you are aware that life on earth is short, you put forth your very best to live a fulfilled life, a life of knowing God and the Lord Jesus Christ, and living to please Him. Finding God's purpose for your life should be your priority. I'm going to repeat that one more time. Finding God's purpose for your life, it should be your priority. Once you have found it, live it to the fullest, knowing that you will have to give an account for your stewardship of it. There is a way to prolong your days, and that is to fear the Lord and to depart from evil. Let's cheer up and be fulfilled and live a fulfilled life unto the Lord. Let us pray. Our Father and our God, we humble ourselves before your presence this afternoon because we understand that without you, nothing makes sense. And as you reminded us a while ago that our top priority should be finding the will of God for our lives. Father, I pray today will not just be another sermon or another occasion where we come and we gather and we do our meetings and we leave, but God, someone today will leave considering their souls, considering the priority they have been placing on you, considering to understand that life is short and man's life, God, is as grass. So therefore, Father, I pray that you will cause the Spirit of God to come upon to us even now and to speak to our hearts. I pray for revelation and divine intervention into our hearts and our minds that we may truly find you and be among those whose names will be written in the Lamb's Book of Life. Father, we exalt you even now and we declare that you will reign forever, now and forevermore. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Rachel, for that reminder. Now, being a part of DCS, once you're studying DCS, it's a major, right? As a major, you know that we have to have an emphasis, right? Whether it's in TV, radio, journalism, or in PR, public relations. Now is the time that we will have our emphasis spotlight. And our first one will be coming from Mr. Tristan Grizzle, that's our radio emphasis, the burgundy jacket holder for the department. This will be followed by the TV emphasis spotlight. This will be done by Selenia James.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Right. Now, in my previous life, I was a radio. I was a radio emphasis, right? But you know, we with experience, yeah, we are wiser and we make decisions, you know, and we change the directions of our lives. But anyways, today we're going to be talking about, as the theme says, 1 degree, various options. What's the theme?
1 degree,
right. So we are going to be looking at some of the career paths you can actually get into with your degree, and specifically for radio. Let me see the hands of all those who can name like 5 radio stations in Jamaica that are not in the top 5. Sun City Radio, all right? NCU FM, Edge 105, the one in St. Mary, Trish. We have Nationwide. Anybody else? Well, me feel like Love in a top 5. TBC Radio. All right, one more. Zip and Cool. All right. So some of these jobs that you can actually get on radio stations, they include being broadcasters, on-air personalities, producers, engineers, news presenters, reporters, and producers, right? I suppose there is a difference between being a broadcaster and being an on-air personality. And as media students, I would hope that we know the difference. The difference between an on-air personality and a broadcaster. Oh no, you can't tell me that I don't know. All right, so I want one bright DCS student creme de la creme, the representative of the department, to tell us. Trish, all right, give her a hand, give her a hand. Yes.
All right, so I'm being corrected by the host. So it's the difference between an announcer and on-air personalities. So there's a slight difference. They both work on the radio, but the difference is that the on-air, we can see why radio is not my emphasis. The on-air personality is the host of the program, and they have their own programs on the radio. The announcer is just someone who comes on to make announcements, such as advertisements, or to give us news and those things, but they do the time, thank you, my dear TV emphasis, yes, but they do not have their very own programs on the station. That is the difference, because you did not know.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I would have you know that it is because of the learning moment on NCU FM why Trisha Gay knows what she just told you. Amen? Amen. All right. So there are a lot of job opportunities out there for those who, you're not really up for the camera bit. You want to be more laid back. You're not interested in being in front of the camera, not interested in being seen. Radio is for you, and I can really tell you it has yes, it is changing. Well, you have podcasts and them something. I wouldn't say changing, but for those persons who are interested in radio, yeah, it is fun. You can be yourself, and you don't necessarily have to face the whole criticism of how you look, how you're dressing, and all of that. Because it's radio, nobody is watching you unless you're working at Nationwide. And they have a YouTube channel, everybody is, looking at you. But ladies and gentlemen, radio is it, right? Radio is it. And for all those students who have decided to, choose something else, I will have you know that radio is it. And on behalf of all the radio students, radio is it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Justin. Radio is it, right. Maybe if it was the big thing, then she would have on the jacket, but that's not for another time. It's okay. Radio is it. She said radio is it.
Shema kill me.
So hey guys, welcome back to the best emphasis. It's the television edition, and I am Selenia James. Thank you so much for having me. And honestly, it's a privilege to have served as the representative for the television edition for this semester for general meeting. It was really fun, but you know that this is the finale for the semester. Sad. But yes, so we're going according to the theme. So we're going to be talking about the different careers that can be achieved through this emphasis. So for those freshmen that do not know, television is not just in front of the camera thing. Most people, they come into this emphasis and think that, oh, I'm going to host, oh, I'm going to be in front of the camera, this is going to be so fun. But there's a lot of careers that can really be achieved through television. And I'm just going to name about 5 of them. So first things first, I would say a camera operator. Now, they are responsible for capturing images for motion pictures or television, and they achieve visual effects by using different lighting, focuses, principles like filtering, etc. And they collaborate with other film professionals to capture ideas from the vision of a director. Now, secondly, a production assistant. That is also known as a PA. Now, many persons may hear the term PA and I don't know what that is. So they are basically the assistants to either the director or the producer. They help to run errands on set, they answer phone calls, help prepare the set. Anything that is needed for a production to go well, that's what a PA does. Now, number 3, I'm going to talk about the producer.
Now, this is the big boss. I like to call them as the big boss. They call all the shots. So they are responsible for the business side of filmmaking and television. They arrange for finances, they hire the crew, they oversee script rewrites, and they also manage schedules, they coordinate locations, and they solve any problems on set. Now, a lot of persons may overlook this one, but a script or screenwriter, as you may call them. Now, they're professionals. They write the screenplays for films, including the dialogues and the scenes. They basically create the characters, and they craft a story, and they go through multiple of revisions before actually putting that work on screen. The last one I want to talk about is the director. They're responsible for every show that goes on, the aspects from the development to post-production. And post-production is when everything is done, edited, finalized, right? So basically they tell the story through screen visuals and through a actor's or a host's performance. Now, honestly, I really think that TV just has a lot of diversity. A lot of things happen behind the camera that many persons, they don't even know happens, to really put that production on screen for you to laugh and skin your teeth and go on the most way, honestly. So really and truly, look into it. If you're a freshman, I really would encourage you. This is my 3rd year, and I do not regret choosing television, and I hope you choose it too.
So will you regret it in your final year, Selena? No? No. You won't. Hopefully not. So we'll have the rest of the... Now we're going to have the... You know, what, can I just say that when you come up here and declare that your emphasis is the best, it just proves that it's not? Let it speak for itself, man. All right. Trish agrees. Now we'll have the journalism emphasis, and this will be done by Trisha Gay Kelly. Yeah?
Thank you, Nicolay. Right, I was going to come up here and say it. I'm not going to say we're the best, because if you're the best, you don't need to say it. It is shown through action. Right. So, all right, what can you do with a journalism degree? Well, first of all, if you are like me, you want to be an editor or editor-in-chief. Those are 2 things that you can be. It takes time to read through everybody's story and to confirm that, boy, yeah, this is something you can say, this is something you cannot say because we'll get sued. Yeah, it's really going through the stories and seeing whether or not it's appropriate for publishing. All right, you can also be a TV reporter. So for those people in TV who thought that they were going in front of the camera, you could literally do journalism and still be in front of the camera. And on radio, I'm the one on the microphone here, Kibishi, right? It's not a debate. Anywho, right? If you're in journalism, you can literally be on radio and on TV and in the paper, and that's why I don't need to say why, right? As I continue, you can be a content writer, and for people who like blogs, you can also do that with your degree. You can be an editorial assistant, and that, for those who don't know, would basically be when writers or journalists come together and decide what they are going to speak on. That is a chance for writers to put their emotions into their piece, and is often the most favorite and cherished piece by journalists like myself. I thank you.
Okay, I think we should have a debate next semester with the emphasis. Yeah, man, we can have a, yeah. No, we're not objecting. I'm saying this as a member of the debate team. we should have a battle of the emphases, right? Yeah, man. You agree? Yes, I agree. Yes. So now we'll have the public relation emphasis, and this will be done by Marlene Freeman.
Hello, everyone. Now, we both know I'm not a public relations major. However, I'm going to say public relations is really nice. It's not the best, but it can work. All right, so. Yes, I'm representing. Okay, so. Very sorry. Okay, so I'm just going to discuss some of the jobs that you can attain from doing public relations. So we have public relation officer, we have brand ambassador, we have content manager, and a very famous influencer. He was first like a content manager / public relations manager. Quiet Perry, yes, no, he's doing his own thing, so that's good. You have content strategist, director of publications, you can apply for that. Director of public affairs, lobbyist, event manager. So these are just a few of the jobs you can do as a public relations emphasis. And fun fact, I almost ended up doing marketing, and marketing is similar to public relations. So I mean, public relations is nice. Bye.
Bye. And I see persons in the crowd getting very heated because, and also on the panel here, did I say panel? One of the guests is getting very heated because she's also a public relations. She was a public relations emphasis, and she practices public relations and journalism and marketing and TV and radio. And she did all of mass comm, right? Now, it just shows, though, that we are all passionate about our emphases, and also that the department has a lot to offer in all these areas. One DCS, 1 degree. It's 1 degree. 1 degree, various options, right? Now we'll go down to what we are really here for, and it's really the presentation of our guests, right? Now, Mr. Erlon Cornwall hails from the parish of St. Elizabeth, where he had early musical training at the Santa Cruz Preparatory School, as well as the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Santa Cruz. He enrolled at Northern Caribbean University, where he completed a Bachelor's of Arts degree in Mass Communication, with a minor in music, piano emphasis in 2014. During this time, he was receiving musical tutoring as well. After completing his Bachelor's of Arts in Mass Communication, Mr. Cornwall's continued interest and involvement in music led him to pursue a Bachelor's of Arts degree in music in August 2019. Mr. Cornwall completed a Master's of Arts degree in orchestration for film, games, and television at the University of Chichester, United Kingdom. Currently, he's an instructor in the Department of Music and coordinator of the Northern Caribbean University Community Music School. He is also a director of the Northern Caribbean University Instrumental Assembly and the Northern Caribbean University Choral. Ladies and gentlemen, I do introduce to you Mr. Erlon Cornwall.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank the department for inviting me to speak to you about how I'm such a terrible mass communication student, and also to tell you how it is that I am now in music full-time. So my story really begins, as it says, I'm from St. Elizabeth. I went to Manchester High, and at Manchester High in third form, there was a guy named Dwayne Burbick. I believe he is now the public relations manager at the National Housing Trust. And so he came to my school and he introduced this idea of doing mass communication, journalism, and all these kind of things to us in third form. And I thought, well, you know, I'm interested in sports, but I'm not very good at sports. So maybe I can be a sports journalist. Also, my mother and some other people told me that I have a wonderful speaking voice. Whatever happened to that? So I said, I'll do mass communication. As the bio did say, I was involved in music from an early age. So my mother decided to get me involved in drumming and in piano lessons because apparently I was banging on the pews in church and all that kind of thing. So she got me involved in that. Eventually, my church developed an ensemble of instruments. And so they handed to me a clarinet. I had no idea what that was. Later on, I found out that Squidward was the master of, terrible at it, but, he plays the clarinet. And so, the clarinet was then my instrument. Came to NCU in 2009. And so I did a mass comm degree, and really music was never on my mind as a full-time career. I never really thought of it. I just knew I loved it. I liked being in an ensemble, playing an instrument, and being a part of choir. It was just my thing. But I really didn't like to be the person who was in front of everybody by myself. So the solo thing was just not me. As a matter of fact, here I am standing in front of you, and this is something that I don't do very often times. So most times if I'm playing, and this is something that I have to work on, because most times when I'm playing, my eyes are closed. So I'm like lost in my own world, and hopefully people enjoy it. Or my back is turned to people, and I'm directing the choir. So that's another wonderful part of what I do currently. But nevertheless, I did mass communication. And for the most part, I enjoyed the lessons that it taught me. The one thing that I did not like so much was having to go to people to ask them questions about what happened in the situation, and especially where journalism is concerned. I just didn't like that. So the more technical aspects caught my eye a little bit more. So whether it be TV production, radio production, sound engineering, those kind of things, brought me a little bit more joy. And so I thought that this is what I would do. I would be a cameraman. I would be perhaps some kind of video editor or something like that, but not the actual journalism that I really came here to actually do. Once again, I was trying to stay away from doing music as much as possible because I didn't see it as a career path. To the point that my music minor didn't really start until maybe my final year. I tried to do a minor in Spanish. I tried to do a minor in IT, and all of those didn't go very well, right? So yeah, I tried to stay away from music as much as possible. So in my final year, I started doing a music minor. And I completed all of that in 2014. So I graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in Mass Communication with a minor in music. Immediately after that, I became the coordinator for the Community Music School at Northern Caribbean University. And this job was basically supposed to entail me promoting the school as much as possible. So in a sense, I would be the PR, do the advertising for the program. It turns out that, NCU doesn't really operate that way, and, issues with CCMPR and so on, kind of, And so we weren't really able to do that. But I nevertheless was able to get some students, get teachers and all of these kind of things to be a part of the department. And from time to time, I do, create things that do involve me using my mass communication skills, such as whether it be promoting the department. So we have a Instagram page that NCU doesn't know about. We have a Facebook page that they know about only now. And we also, so I'm able to post on it every now and again, but because of my job and so on, it's very difficult, which is a whole other discussion on its own. Nevertheless, that is really what my story is. Eventually, I continued to do music courses in an effort to, I began to see that, maybe music is really what I should be doing. God is leading me in this way, so maybe might as well I just submit to it. So I continued doing music courses in an effort to complete a full Bachelor of Arts degree in music. Eventually, in 2017, I said, well, I'm interested in film. I really enjoy watching movies, and the music that is created for a lot of music is very, very interesting. And how they're able to create that to fit into what a film production is projecting, and to tell the story along with the music really caught my attention. And so I enrolled at the University of Chichester to complete a degree in orchestration for film, games, and television, which I completed in 2019. There is a lot of connection between music and communications. For one, music is a form of communication. It is telling some kind of story through the use of music, using different melodies, harmonies, and the jazz to, pun intended, to create all these stories towards telling people about a particular subject. And communication, of course, does this, whether it be actual journalism, writing a story, and trying to be as truthful as possible. One of the things, especially as a conductor, when you get music to tell, what somebody else already composed, is that you want to take yourself out of that. You want to interpret the music as you see it, so that you can give a true story of what the composer intends. And it's the same way that you as journalists, for those who are doing journalism and others, that you want to tell the story as true as possible. You don't want to include your own biases, and you go into a community and say, well, yeah man, you're just supporting the gunman and them kind of things. You don't want to do that. You want to go there with the intention that I'm going to tell their own story and not what you may think might be the situation. And so as communicators, whether it be music, whether it be journalism, whether it be you creating a documentary or anything like that, you want to be as truthful to that and represent that as much as possible. Now, I will finish off with sharing some careers that include, or other careers that include music and communications. I mentioned, of course, film music itself. There is a documentary including one of the great film composers, John Williams, and one of the film directors that he worked for very oftentimes, Steven Spielberg. They were discussing the film E.T., everybody knows E.T., extraterrestrial. They were discussing the creation of the music for this. And of course, usually what happens is that the film is created, everything is filmed, then they will edit it, then the composer will come in and they would then write the music towards these different scenes in which they would want. And they would sit with the director and they would then discuss where they want the punchlines to be and all these kind of things. There was one part of that documentary that kind of stood out to me in that they actually changed the actual film to fit the music. And there is this last section of it in which, usually where music is concerned, you lead up, you have this climax to the music, and then you have dun 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 dun, yeah, right? So the music goes like that, but they were having a hard time with the orchestra in recording this with what is happening on the screen to have everything fit together perfectly. And so what Mr. Spielberg decided to do was to take the scene off the screen and to have them perform it just as they would want to perform it, and then edit the film to the actual music. And I thought that was very important because it really does show the relationship that music has to telling that kind of story with a film or with a TV show, or even where advertising is concerned, creating jingles and those kind of things. So that's music in film music, in communication rather. Sound design is another area of music. Well, probably it's not so much music, but it's creating those different sound effects so that a lot of times all those crunches and all those winds blowing, those screams that you hear very oftentimes in a movie, all of that doesn't actually happen in the movie, but it happens in post-production. And I don't know if anybody here knows of the Wilhelm scream. Anybody? Yeah? So this Wilhelm scream is basically a stock sound effect that was created a long time ago. And with this Wilhelm scream, and there are a number of films that use Toy Story, it's in Batman, a lot of films, but it's basically this, and that's it, right? And that's the sound effect that is used, and it's basically the sound effect for many, many screams in movies. So if you have the chance, you can look at that. So that's sound design. A very important area of music and communication is that of music journalists or music critics. And obviously, there are events that happen, right? Musical events of various kinds, various genres that will happen in Jamaica and across the world. And one of the more important things is that people are able to understand what these programs entail. And so having somebody report on these events is very important. And what is even more important is that they give an impression of the event with knowledge of what is supposed to happen in that particular scene. And this is something that I find has not been very well done in Jamaica so far. And so I encourage you, and especially for those who are here at Northern Caribbean University, very oftentimes there are events, and especially those that are not events that are mainstream to Jamaica. So if it's a reggae event, most times the reporting on it would be quite accurate. But say it's a jazz performance, or say it's a choral performance or a classical music performance. Very oftentimes people will report on it, but the report isn't as accurate because of the lack of knowledge of what should happen in an event like this. And so this is where your research is very, very crucial, that you understand what is supposed to happen and how it is that you best can represent what happens in this kind of event. Finally, you have sound engineers, and I know there are a number of people here who are very much involved in sound engineering. And this is not just where radio is concerned, but also music sound engineers are very, very important because musicians need their music to be recorded, they need their events to be recorded, and so I'm hoping one day that NC will be able to offer a program where sound engineering is an actual degree. Maybe one day that will happen. And then finally, a publicist. And a publicist is an individual who then is able to promote the music of an artist. And so these are just a couple of the jobs in music and communication that are available that you may or may not have interest in. And so I thank you for listening, and that's the end of my story. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, I think it was yesterday that I was saying that our department is connected with all departments on campus. And that's simply because it's communication. We all communicate. And so if it's psychology, that we need to know how to relate information to people, knowing that everyone is different and that everybody's mind is different. And so as journalists, we have to look a certain way and also act a particular way to bring across messages. As maybe we can connect with the information, that's the CSI or CIS, right? Where it comes on to graphics designing, and also bring across various messages when it comes on to film, you know, and there are so many other things. Music, it also goes into film. So we are connected to all departments, and we also have that grand opportunity to do minors. We don't have to necessarily do an emphasis, and I think it's wise for those who still have that chance to get a minor with the degree if you don't want to do another major, because it will work at the end of the day, and maybe you can be like our guest here, or guests who does not necessarily study mass comm in TV, in a grand way, or in PR and the others. We will now have an item by Kerry-Ann Malcolm and company. A thing to note, too, is that we'll have a question and answer segment, but after both presentations, right?
Please write down your questions if you have any, so you don't forget them. We'll take them after Mrs. Ellis presents. Oh, good afternoon, everyone.
We are Kerry-Ann and Company.
All right, let us give them a second. I hope that you will be inspired by the words of this song. I know many of us may know it, so you can feel free to sing along in the chorus, all right? Yeah. Okay. We may have to sing this a cappella. Under the glow of a very bright light, I turn my face towards the warm night sky, and I am not afraid of 1,000 eyes. Under above 500 smiles, I used to think, what wouldn't I give for a moment like this? There's more in this gift. Now look at me, and this opportunity is standing right in front of me. One thing I know is only part I can, so I'm putting on my best show. Under the spotlight, side of my life, big dreams becoming real tonight. So look at me and this opportunity. You're witnessing my moment, you see, my big opportunity. Now I find myself here, and it's time. If this is real, then it's all mine. I'm not afraid to fly when it's above 500 miles. And I used to think, what wouldn't I give for a moment like this? There's more in this gift. Now look at me, and this opportunity is standing right in front of me. One thing I know is only by luck, and so I'm putting on my best show. Under the spotlight, starting my life, big dreams becoming real tonight. Now look at me and this opportunity. You're witnessing my moment, you see, my big opportunity. We won't waste it, we guarantee.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. We should have 2 mics for Trish. You know, we have musicians in the department. All right. I would like that again. You would like that again? Yeah. All right. Now it's time for other guests, and she comes strong, you know. She comes very strong because she did all, according to her, no, she's practicing all parts of communication. Right, Mrs. Ellis? Period, Pooh. Now, Mrs. Latoya Ellis is a prolific communications specialist. Mrs. Latoya Ellis is a prolific communications specialist and innovative agripreneur who is passionate about helping marginalized women gain financial independence by bridging the gap between farming and business. As a communications specialist, Mrs. Ellis is adept at utilizing integrated marketing communication strategies to influence change, especially among marginalized women. Having developed her marketing and business skills, she has a profound interest in imparting her skill sets to women in agriculture so that they can create value-added products, maximizing profits from their farming venture, and maximizing profits in their farming venture. In this regard, Mrs. Ellis is a member of the Jamaican Network of Rural Women Producers, a sitting member of the Rural Agricultural Development Authority Advisory Board, and of course that's RADA, in the parish of Clarendon and Newport, Fursan Brand Ambassador 2122. She also uses her event planning skills to organize special events such as money moves for women and workshops and agribusiness fora. Mrs. Ellis earned a Bachelor's of Arts degree in Communication Studies with an emphasis in public relations at the Northern Caribbean University decades ago. I don't like I said. A decade ago. A decade ago. You know, I was just about to say, putting it that way makes you sound old, don't it? But that's all right because you look good, don't it? All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I do introduce to you Mrs. Latoya Ellis.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, when I was here, Miss Daly, you can attest to that, and Miss McDonald, I think we were one of the noisiest group of people ever. So can you believe me? I came here today with all that excitement for say, come on man, make some noise, get up and make noise. No, but you know, like I said, the saltish now work, and I don't like the saltish no more. Long time you not get it? All right, no problem. I'm going to go down to CAF, and I'm going to make sure, say, them put back saltish on the menu so I can get some. Maybe you'll not be able to make some noise. Anyways, so, you know, I deliberately put a decade ago. You know why? I bet some of you here are like 20 years old. So 10 years ago was 2012. Some of you didn't even do PEP yet. GSAT, see? Never even do GSAT. And guess what? I cannot believe it. It's 10 years already. I'm not old. No, not old at all. But you see, it just goes to show that time, it's not standing still. It waits on nobody. So guess what? We have to live our best lives. And we start living it here, right now, today. All right? It's not like me there at church. Amen? Hallelujah. All right, so 10 years ago, I'm wondering if I should start at 10 years ago or start why I came to NCU. But let me start at 10 years ago. 10 years ago at this time, I was so excited. I was happy to just walk into whichever organization, because I would have learned so much and I wanted to impact lives. You hear how many times she mentioned marginalized women, empowering women. You know where that came from? I got pregnant when I was 18 years old. As a matter of fact, when I was doing my medical to come to this institution, I found out I was pregnant. I paid the doctor, I asked the doctor to do the pregnancy test 5 times. The 6th time, she said, excuse me, she was Indian. Excuse me, Latoya, you know you're going to pay for all of these, right? I said, yes, just do one more because I don't know how it happened. I still don't know. But at 8 years old, I fell in love with journalism. Journalism, in quotation. So I fell in love with journalism. Every single night I used to just perch in front of the TV, you know, the big box. It was black and white. I am not old, I was just poor. I used to love hear the words that just flew out of Hedin Colin Nicholson and Curlin Brown. And then I get to fall in love with Garfield Burford. His voice was just magnificent. And just the way that they use words, oh my God, I was mesmerized. And I said, that's what I wanted to do. I want to be a journalist. Rude awakening, I came to NCU very focused. I want to do journalism. But now you have emphasis in journalism. There wasn't an emphasis. And I was devastated. What am I going to do? Because I want to be on TV. Give thanks for advisors like Miss Noreen Daly. I don't know if Miss Roma is still here. Oh my God. Give thanks. And Mrs. Viseb, maybe you don't know her, but those are the older folks. But I remember having an advisor, Miss Roma was my advisor. It was compulsory, and I didn't like it. I don't like to be told what to do. Well, that was then. If you come to NCU for 4 years, you better drop in line. You're going to be told what to do, whether or not you like it. So I remember going to Miss Tomlinson, and I was saying, but I want to be a journalist. How can I fix this? And she said to me, well, why do you want to be a journalist? And I explained to her, how I fell in love with all the persons that I mentioned before. And she said, oh, it sounds like you want to be a presenter. Or no, what you call a broadcaster, So that's why I said journalist in quotation, because I didn't know the distinction. I come from Upper Moko, Bakagad, like way Bakagad. So me really, yes, Upper Moko. So I really you don't get exposed. Going to Maypen comes like once a year. It's like birthdays. It's from church to home to school, and you walk to go to everywhere. All right, sister, but you're a little bit more exposed than I was, I hope. So when she explained that to me, I was like, okay, I don't care what you want to say, I still want to do journalism. Until that blessed day, I got introduced to Intro to TV production. I was like, no, that's it for me. I went back to Miss Tomlinson, and I was like, what were you saying again? And so she broke it down. So with public relations, and listen to me now, what is your name? You're now my new best friend, Miss Daly. I want her to do some free work for me at the Women's Center just because of what she said this morning. What you mean by PR is not the best, huh? Anywho, so I went back to her, and she said, well, that PR, and Miss Roma, she's well and proper, and she pronounced every single letter. And it's not Spanish. English language is not Spanish, so tell me how she get to pronounce every single letter. I don't know. So she's like, well, if you were to consider public relations, you have all of those options. They will come into one. So you can, when you write stories, whether it is a hard story or feature story, it is journalism, because in order for you to tell each person's story individually, you must do your research. So for example, I work at the Women's Center, and the first story I wrote was about a little girl who was 11 years old when she got pregnant. Nobody told those stories because they didn't want people to know that 11-year-old was coming to the center. But hello, we are doing something that is good, and we need to tell the whole world about it. So I got permission to sit with that child and her mom, and me dig up everything. I never left one stone unturned. But at the same time, I had to protect her identity because she's a minor. And that comes out in media ethics class. So, hello. And guess what now? Don't forget the general social and professional ethics. Hi. Go on to class. So anywho, so because of what I learned here, I was able to dig deep and get the story that would basically get more people interested in the Women's Center, and basically to show compassion for our students, because what they used to say is that we're rewarding promiscuity. But I told the story, one story from two different angles. One angle was that she was molested. You have to be careful who you allow around your children. So teen pregnancy, most times, it not come because the girl them bad. And even if they are bad, something happened. Maybe they were molested earlier and they're acting out. So you see how many stories I can get from talking to that one girl? Very good. Am I talking to you now? Awesome. So yes, so Miss Tomlinson sent it home for me. Not to mention TV production. Let me touch a little bit on that now. So I didn't like it. I detest TV production. But now I have to be writing scripts. Documentary. I have to do documentary because a government pays for work and then I have no money. That's another partnership coming up, Miss Daly. No money. So we can't hire nobody to go write script for no documentary. So I have to draw back from a TV note. God bless Everett Wiles. I had to draw back for it to see how you format the script, the show treatment, and all of those things. When I do my stuff and I present it, I feel so bright. Hello? Hello? Yes, I feel so bright. Now you're talking about radio. And time, you have to be, time is king. Time is money. So when it comes on my desk, we work a lot with UNICEF and those agencies. They want like a commercial, 30-second commercial, and you see 2 pages come. And I'm like, what am I going to do with this now? Because how many words per minute or per second? How many words per second? Oh. So you have that in your head, and you do a quick little calculation before you even start, right? And you say, okay, I should have this amount of words for this 30 seconds. Good? I learned that here. So I didn't have to write 3 times and then ask somebody to read it and cut down. No, I knew what I was doing because I got the foundation here. Hello? Got the foundation here. So you pay attention, all of them. They're necessary. So I spoke about TV production. I spoke about journalism. I spoke about radio. Advertising. I don't see advertising on there. You don't do it anymore? Oh, I had to do advertising. You do it as a course. Okay. Yeah, but I didn't emphasize in advertising, but I had to do advertising. And it is helping me now because you get into the profiling of, well, when you have to do a creative brief. You know, I feel nice when me say to my ED, okay, I'm going to send over a creative brief. Like, what is that? No problem, it's just instructions telling the graphic artist what to do. But you know, I feel good when you take into color. You take color into perspective. You go to an organization and they have a logo, and they have not yet developed a policy as to how they're going to use that logo. Is advertising coming, you know? Advertising, the little things I'm learning in an introductory course. It is helping me. So we take nothing for granted. When you talk about you want a certain response, how are you going to use your words? How are you going to use colors? How are you going to use images to get people to say, "Aww"? Or forget people to say, hell no. It's all about, it's an art. And I'm so happy that I learned from the best. So yes, I had that conversation with Miss Tomlinson. And from then and there, I made up my mind that I'm going to do PR. And so she had to throw this in. So you know, PR is not only about dressing up and looking pretty. No, it's not. Because you spend days barefooted. You set up this, let me give you a real life example. An activity, you pay somebody to execute, to decorate your space because you're having an event. Never ever turn up on the morning of your event at Jamaica where you will have heart attack, yeah? When you go and you see some balloon look so, and so, you're like, what is happening? But I pay you to do it. So, and I gave him my instructions, so you should be able to execute. But no, you can't do that. You have to be there. Kick off your shoes, have your change of clothes. I think I have about 2 change of clothes in my car. I have shoes, I have my makeup. I have everything in there because you don't know what is going to happen. Right now, I took 2 days, vacation days. I don't know if my ED is going to call me and say, go there and represent. So I always have to be ready. So you have the pretty part of it. And but behind the pretty part is the very dirty part. So don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by it, right? And a lot of late nights staying up and just making sure that everything is correct. For example, don't tell nobody say I work for a ministry that is last minute. I didn't say that. Are you crazy? If you tell anybody say me say that, me cry. But you're at your desk and you hear that minister is coming, or the head of UNICEF for the region is coming, and minister is going to bring greetings. You need to write a speech. This is happening tomorrow and they're calling you today. Are you going to just lie down and kick and cry and say, why them not? No, you better fall in line. You better fall in line and you better write it, and write it good too. All right? So that's just a part of what my degree is doing for me. So we talk about the 1 degree, and I stayed a lot on communication. Did you know that I'm a farmer? Yeah, man. If you come a little closer, you may see a little dirt in my toenail. I joke, I clean it out. So, yes, why did I become a farmer, though? 2019. Oh, before I go there, you know, sometimes, well, not sometimes, as a public relations practitioner, you're a counselor. You give advice. You say, instead of saying that, say this. Sometimes you even have to go in a them wardrobe and say, instead of wearing that, wear this. Because you want people to like you. You want people to trust you. You want people to believe you. Depends on what you want. So you have to be counselors. And let me tell you something. You're what? They're what? Gen Z? Generation Z? Generation Z. So imagine now you have a baby boomer for your manager. That is trouble. You have to be very careful how you, even how you look. Sometimes you want to look them in the eyes. You don't do that. You look away. Because them are going to say you're dry eye if you look on them in them eye. I saw them grow up. I saw them culture. So imagine you now as, they see you as their granddaughter, their grandson, going to say, Miss, sir, instead of saying this, can you say it this way? Or I think we should do. Sometimes they don't accept it. And I went through a lot of fire here, a lot of development. I was a very unpolished personality, a persona. I'm very polished, Miss McDonald. Miss Dixon! Yes! Hi, Miss Dixon. Sorry, she has that kind of impact, you know. Yes, very polished. If you sit with me right now, you say, oh, is she from 10 years ago? Yeah, man, she same one. Very polished. So you have to be careful how you dance around certain things. So imagine that type A persona now trying to say to a baby boomer, no, don't say this, say that. You're going to get kicked out of a job. Hello? I can't forget this word that Miss Visay used with me, finesse. Yes. Finesse. Yeah, man, learn it. I've learned it. But I didn't learn it fast enough. So I had some issues. Or I learned it, you know, but there's still residue. Especially when you're passionate about what you want to do and you know your job. You studied for 4 years, so you know what to do. So 2019, I was on the brink of losing my job because I made a suggestion and it wasn't taken. And problem, you know. And so I said to myself, but if I stay here, I'm going to lose my job. And not only that, my son just started high school. I never get a ring yet, so I'm never sure. So I was still a single mother. So I had to think about my child and how I was going to take care of my child. When I just left NCU and I didn't get a job, I was doing freelance marketing and PR. And by the way, my production house client was my first paid client. Get that in your head. Get it? Get it? Mm-hmm. So I was doing freelance. And so when I reflected on all, I said, no, I don't want to do freelance because it took some time for me to collect my money. So I was like, what's the next best thing? Can I tell you, if somebody told me that I would be doing farming, I would have told them, say a lie, and I'd have run them. never ever imagined that I would have been doing this and doing so well at it. Because I grew up in a community, that's all you saw. People in a dirty clothes look like mad people every day going to bush. And you know, see nothing where them I get out of it. I'm like, I'm not crazy, I'm not going to do that. But I reflected on it in 2019, sitting at my desk. And I said, my child come first. When you're a parent, you'll realize it's no longer you, it's about the child. My child comes first. And so I decided that I was going to leverage my network. PR practitioners, you leverage your network. I decided I was going to leverage my network. I got agronomist. Monique Reed was my batchmate. She was working at Newport First, and Monique Reed connected me with a whole heap of agronomists and people in agriculture. And as they say, the rest is history. That's how I started. I didn't lose my job. I didn't lose my job because, you know, you write. When you make your suggestions, it's not just word of mouth. You write, you have documentation, so there was proof. So no, I didn't lose my job, but I am happy that I had that scare, because if I didn't have that scare, then I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have 3 sources of income, because I do consultancy on the side. So because I am a communicator and I'm a farmer, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Agro Investment Corporation, I have been working with them to execute events and to do different community engagements. So because of my background in communication and now my practical experience as a farmer, you see where I'm going with that now? So I'm thinking about carving out a niche, calling what? Agriculture communication. So at 10 years ago, I left school. So Miss Daly, I'm going to be utilizing your service, please, ma'am, so that I can branch out bigger into agri-communication and agri-marketing. So it is 1 degree. It is a big university. And one thing I can say, box not exists up here. We not put people, the lecturers, they don't put people in boxes, because if they did, I wouldn't be here today talking to you the way that I'm talking to you. See, I ditched my speech completely. You know, it's kind of like a heart-to-heart, right? So whatever it is that you're learning here, even the religious courses, my God, can I tell you, I used to hate it. And not only that, you know, I was trodding. You know what I mean when I say trod? I was a Rasta. I was getting there. So can you imagine these people that come tell me, say me have to go to chapel? But let me tell you what that taught me. Remember I told you earlier on, type A personality, right? When it teaches you going to chapel and all of these, doing these courses that you think are not necessary, it is important for your personal development. It is important to instill humility. It is important to instill patience. You hear me up here, I taught them something there. I never know someone could talk like that, you know, humility and Latoya in the same sentence. Come on. But looking back, you know, all of those things you learn. And another thing is because we had to endure chapel and endure going to classes like Daniel and all of them stuff there. When somebody in the working world, when they give us stuff to do and it's not on our job description, we do it, and it's like nothing, because we had to endure 4 years of doing things that we didn't want to do. So, word to the wise. My grandmother, as a proud Maconian, is that a word, Miss Daly? As a proud Maconian, a person from Moko. As a proud Maconian, I have to leave you with a proverb. Fish come from river bottom and tell you, say, shark, they down there. Believe him. I hear you. Believe him. So I'm telling you, it is not pretty and rosy out there. What can you buy with $20,000 these days? Nothing. Once upon a time, you would leave here and you say you want to get $200,000 per month. It can't do nothing. This morning I spent $90,000 on my car, money I never planned to spend. What $200,000 going to do? So you have your 1 degree, use it wisely, right? The persons in TV, The persons who can use your phone to make videos, and you can charge me $8,000, may I look for you. Hello, I'm looking for you, so you can get my number from Miss Daly. I'm looking for you both ways. One for my day job, and secondly for me, because I need to improve my image. I'm expanding my farm. I need to build my network and then leverage that network. Why am I doing well at farming? Because I use what I learned as a public relations practitioner in farming. So I don't wait until I need a friend to seek a friend. I don't wait until I want you to buy my sweet corn and my yams to come talk to you. I'll talk to you from now. How do I talk to you? I post up stuff on my social media page, make you think you know me, you're in my business, right? But then, talking about strategy again, as a public relations practitioner, I may need to come to you and say, all right, me too busy, help me chart a strategy to develop, to build my brand. I want to be seen as X, and you're going to say, all right, this is what you're going to do. So talking about different jobs now that you can get from your degree, talking about a media officer. So your primary role is liaising with the media. So you're going to ensure that everybody who is nobody in media, you have them number, so that when a last minute activity come up, you can call and say, I'm having this. Can you cover? Even if they don't find the story newsworthy, just for you to write a report at the end of the month and say 3 persons or two major media houses were there. Hello, you're smiling, because I don't mean to tell you, say the story not, I never said that. But they were there, that's the point. So you have to leverage a network. So that's one, media officer. You have something called a community animator. That was one of my posts at one point. What do you think a community animator does? A community animator, you're basically practicing community relations, right? I don't know why they call it animator. It's a US term. It's a US term that like NGOs mostly use, right? But it's basically community relations. So that's media officer, community animator. You have something now, I see a lot of people doing it. It's integrated marketing communication officer. So your primary role is to link all aspects of communication, the traditional and the modern. And I hear you mention it this morning, earlier, about PR and marketing being very close. Most times people confuse them. So what we do, what the IMC approach is basically use all of those media tools, and you leverage them. You tell your story how you want to tell them. And then you have the social media manager, where you manage the page. You don't want to do something we can tell that the Zip personality is not an NCU graduate, because if she were an NCU graduate, she would have known better. We never, what is ethos, ethics, those things are important to us. We don't ever glorify any kind of violence, any kind of disrespect, none whatsoever. So kudos to being an NCU graduate again. You have content creator. You hear I talk about building brand earlier? Yes, it all boils back down to how you want to be seen, and you want somebody to write specifically for that. I used to have to do a class called Writing for E-Media. I don't know if you still have that. You still have that? It's an excellent class, because the way you write for hard news and even feature writing, it's different. And that was a course as well, feature writing. It's different. So I'm raining down gems on you. The truth is, it's an excellent course. It's an excellent, you have good people teaching you. So just do your best. And the world is your oyster. I rest.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Ellis. That was a good presentation, and good presentations, don't it? Yeah, man, yeah. Yeah, that was good and very interesting and informative. Thank you so much. Thank you. We appreciate it. At this time, we will have a PSA by Akelia Moore.
Hello.
This is a public service announcement from the Department of Communication Studies. Do you feel like life is hitting you really hard? Are you feeling like the only way out is the easy way? Let's try positive approaches, journaling perhaps, or even PR. Perhaps it is the case. Cry if you have to, cry if you must. DCS wishes to advise or to remind you that there is no success without struggles. There is no victory without testimonies. Nobody choose drugs. Side effects can include nausea and abdominal pains. Let's not choose temporary happiness over these fatal pains. For further information, get your help from the NCU counseling at 876-279-9680 or email them at counselor@ncu.edu.jm. That was a public service announcement from the Department of Communication Studies. Thank you.
Period. Then our voice nice, Yeah. Listen, we have products and products in making, in the department, right? Yeah, man. All right, let's continue with this because it's neat. We really trapped for time. I said trap for time, right? All right, so we are going to scrap that. We have the... I'm sorry. We have, about lunch bag? Anybody in here knows about lunch bag? Yeah? I know about this, I don't know about lunch bag. You do? You know about it? Big up yourself. You're a freshman, right? Big up yourself. Big up the freshman for no man. Yeah, she's keeping up to date. Now, lunch bag is a program that is put on by the advanced TV and broadcasting classes, right? Every last Friday of each month. And now this is aired on NCU TV Jamaica. So you can go on over there at NCU TV Jamaica to view former episodes. Most of the freshmen view the former episodes, right? What is your name? Yeah. Roshana? Krishana? All right. Big up Krishana. Big up Krishana, because Krishana is looking out for departments as a freshman. Yeah. And maybe I would not have done that, but big up Krishana. Right. So go on over there at NCU TV Jamaica to view Lunchbag episodes. Every last Friday, it's aired just for 30 minutes. Can you imagine? 30 minutes, half an hour. And you can see, who's the host for Lunchbag now? Which lecturer and student? Who? Mr. Cuff. And who? I tell you, I seniors them no know. I seniors them no know. It's an ongoing change. But we know about Mr. Cuff and Khadija and yeah. All right. Now also for the Lignum Vitae Film Festival. Anybody know about the Lignum Vitae Film Festival? All right. And who is entering this? Kibishi. Period. All right. Kibishi is entering, so we know we have to big up Kibishi on that. Right? All right. So, nobody else in DCS? And anybody else in DCS, the TV students especially, to enter this festival. Don't enter, man, not Kibishi alone. Don't make Kibishi alone win the prize. Steve, yeah, right? Yeah, man, let's enter to win all the prize because I think last year, some people who we not even know from overseas and you will win up the thing them. Come. And Oakwood. Yes, Oakwood she. So let us DCS here at Northern Caribbean University win all the prizes, right? So who want to do the script writing or who want to be the producer or the camera operator, the actors and actresses? Listen, yeah? So I want to do it, the nice voice people them, all I want to just enter the competition and let it be a great production. We will know, and we're not going to go to the video at this time anymore. We're going to go to the video? No, trap for time. All right, we also have our Week of Excellence. Yes, we have our Week of Excellence. All right.
So we have Week of Excellency. You know that's where everybody, most of us are acknowledged for academic excellence, all right? And also just being a good person in the department, right? So that, and Lignum Vitae Film Festival, April 16, 2023, at 5:30 p.m. Come out to the NCU Gymnatorium for the festival, for the festivities, and watch amazing films in categories such as mini documentaries, short films. Hey? Short films, that's all right. That's all right. And silent films. No, that's it. We don't have any time for the question and answer segment. We don't, because the presentations were that good. Maybe you can link them afterwards, right? Yeah? You can link them afterwards. Now, this was a very good, it was small, but we're still trying to, yeah, so, we have social on Thursday, next week, this Thursday, December 1st is this Thursday? And just like that, the semester is finished. The semester done. So it's this Thursday, we have our social, we have to have our games, and you need to come out at 7 p.m. right here. And if you know about social, our social is always nice. Whole heap of dancing and, good time and food. Right. So it was a good session and good time being with you guys here in the main chapel at Northern Caribbean University, the Department of Communication final general meeting for the fall semester 2022. And the next one is January 31, 2023. Yeah, and that will also be the time where we award our gold scholars. Yes, and if you don't know, the gold scholars are persons who achieve a 3.5, nothing less, GPA, a GPA of 3.5 and up, GPA for the fall semester 2022, right? Right. And also, only the top 5 or 10 will get pinned. So don't worry, you'll still be considered a gold scholar, even if you don't get pinned, that's all right. So that's all the news and PSAs and announcements we have for you. Thank you so much for joining here. Thank you so much for joining here in the live audience. And for those who did not make it, we're so disappointed. Make sure you make it next year. Big up yourself. Big up DCS. And my name is Nicolay Gunn.